All right, let's get this party started. Gotta turn off the music. Go into the concentration, brown noise. All right, good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Tuesday, April 21st. Let's go. We got some economic headlines coming out this morning at 10 o'clock. I think it's pending home sales. And then we also have the potential new Fed chairman who is testifying before the Senate Banking Committee today. I would expect that is going to introduce some volatility into the market. We'll see how it goes and what kind of headlines come out about that. I generally don't want to be trading through that testimony, just like I would not probably want to be trading through Powell's testimony this morning. But we'll see what kind of volatility comes in, if whether or not, like, he says anything too crazy that spikes and throws markets around. I mean, if not, we'll just trade right through it. But pre-market, we're up above yesterday's value. Yesterday's point of control mean of the distribution was 7138. Thereabouts. Very clean, normalized distribution from yesterday. We were kind of hypothesizing in the morning yesterday that's what we were kind of expected, but then just proceeded to not trade it very well. So we were absolutely correct with our morning thesis about normalized distribution. Institutions were not going to take positions until the economic news releases this morning, as well as the Fed chairman testimony. But then we just proceeded to try to take directional trades because we thought we'd just get paid like we did last week just by going long. So let's see what goes on this morning. See where buyers and sellers step in. See where some of the divergences come in. See what kind of ranges that we develop. See where any institutional orders come in at. Like, the only real activity in the large institutional size pre-market was at 7160 for 300 contracts at 923. And I thought it was like a news event that happened. It was this right here, but it doesn't look like there was any news. So volume here, pushing price down at 7162. Got to keep my eyes on news headlines today. I believe the negotiations for Iran are supposed to pick up again tomorrow in Islamabad. So already we're coming back down towards yesterday's value area. Swing highs from pretty much the afternoon's distribution. 146 and 3/4, and then in the morning you had the swing highs around 156, which is where you're at right now. So possibility that we're going to come down and test 145. This range from yesterday here that developed during the afternoon and was very tight balanced range. Maybe we would come down and test that and reject it. Do not know yet. We'll see some large size coming in at 155 for 118 contracts right here. Good amount of volume here, continues to push price down, but we also had a good amount of volume coming at 151 and lifts price. I don't know if 151 is a really good reference point. If you were to stop, I would believe that you would have stopped at 155, and then your next test would potentially be down at 147. So want to let this distribution and opening auction play out a little bit before we start really trying to take positions, see where some of this volume comes in at. See if we start to develop any ranges that we can trade from, but I just want to give this a little wiggle room. And then also, you know, we got pending news, economic releases coming out at 10 o'clock, pending home sales, and Fed chairman testifying. Could see some volatility around 10 o'clock, so I don't really want to be engaging in the market anytime around that. So still only a large institutional activity, 100 contracts or greater. Came in at 9:30 and 43 seconds at 155 for 118 contracts. That could have just been a market on open order, so we're not going to weigh that information too heavily right now. So we got some single prints up here at 159. Market may come back up here to test that. See if there's any more liquidity to be done. Volume that came in here, suppressed price. Volume came in here, suppressed price. So there's some supportive volume here down at 151, but the volume that's coming up here at 154 is suppressing price. All right, 3 times you just seen it. Here, here, and here. And 16. Can't hum on YouTube. Which I like to hum and whistle songs. They do not allow you to do that on YouTube. Market on open and balance, SP's 500, 125 million. Not too crazy. Nothing that's of significance. So we see a little bit of a tight range starting to develop already, resisting 156, supporting 151. Volume in the first minute, pretty good. 17,000 contracts, almost 18,000 contracts. That's pretty good. That's pretty heavy. On top of this value area from yesterday at 149. All right, this could be just resistance for the day here. Market opened at 162. It's right here, built some volume and then immediately pushed price down. Volume came in, held price down. Price came in, continued to push price down. The volume at 151 lifted price. We're still resisting 154 for the most part. While the volume that comes in around here for the most part is resisting price and suppressing price, with the exception of right here, it lifted. So again, first signs of buyer absorption here, but did not hold. The volume that was coming in at 151 also did not hold. Ideally, I want to see a trap happen this morning before we can start taking positions. All right, I want to see a bunch of buyers or sellers at one extreme of the distribution. So volume coming in here pretty heavy, down at 148. So this is pretty much the top of that swing range from yesterday for the most part. 146. Top of the value area is 148. So potentially we're thinking that we're going to be resisting in this area down here, right? Because this is the overlap from yesterday's distribution. It was a balanced distribution. It is possible that the auction is complete down below 148. Then we don't really need to go back down there to retest it again. But outside of 155, nothing. All right, you had the one sell at 155 at 9:30, which again could just been a market on open thing. And it's probably this transaction right here. Right there. I don't know if you can see that. So volume again came in at the lows, pushed up price, but you didn't really hold the divergence. Volume still coming in is still suppressing price up towards the POC and the mean of the day. $9:37. Still got the economic news releases coming out at 10 o'clock this morning, pending home sales. We got Fed chairman testifying before the Senate Banking Committee. So I don't suspect that things are going to get too crazy before that time. I think here we're just going to chop around a little bit, try to find some balance, go back and forth, find areas of liquidity. But in terms of directional moves, I don't think you're going to see very large transactions come in before 10 o'clock this morning. So we're going to be patient. We're going to wait. We're going to see what develops. I don't know if we can watch a testimony live. If I can on YouTube, I will watch it live just to see if there's any correlation between what he's saying and market volatility. If he starts talking and there's just a bunch of volatility around him speaking and the markets just shoot up, shoot down, shoot up, shoot down, we're not going to engage and we'll just leave it alone for the day. But the volume coming in is still suppressing price here. And we're just bouncing up against this range from yesterday. Pretty heavy ledge at 148. Like part of me just wants to put a long in here just to take the shot, right? Because I do think the area from yesterday was fairly balanced. So you shouldn't really want to revisit it because we revisited this area so much yesterday. But until I see more signs where the volume's coming in and lifting price, I don't think we can really do that. Like I want us to move away from 148 first. And you know, some of the volume that does come in at 148 lifts price, but the volume that's coming in right above it here at 151 is now suppressing price. It was originally lifting price here, but now we're suppressing price at 151. And you're again flashes the seller divergence, carrying prices lower. Seller at 150 for 100 contracts at 937. So, I mean, ideally, this is what I would like to see if we're entertaining longs here at 148, just because we're coming up on the top of yesterday's range. Is I want to see some sellers come in here and really try to aggressively push price back into yesterday's range, and then it failed to do so. And we snap right back out of it. Volume comes in and lifts price. That would be the ideal scenario for a long right now. But we should be a little hesitant again because of what's going to be happening at 10 o'clock this morning. So volume coming in at 148, lifting price. Nothing on the large activities. Absorption's coming in lower on the buy side, which is not ideal. Right? You want buyers to hold firm at the same price or higher prices, not lower prices. Even though you get repetitive signs of absorption here, I don't think it's just a bullish signal just because you get bullish absorption here. All right, because you get it at lower levels. You want to see it at higher levels, the absorption come in. And if we miss this little bit of a run up here, right, and then this is the actual bottom for the day, this 146, oh well. So volume coming in now, lifting price. It is possible that this 148 is now the low of the day. It wasn't a ton of absorption, but it was at a level that we reasonably suspected would provide support, and it did for the time being. So let's see what happens when we come back down towards 151, right? Because this was the area where volume came in and was suppressing price, and then it broke and held up price at 151. If volume comes in again at 151 and lifts price, I think we can start entertaining the idea of adding to a long here. The volume that came in here suppressed price at 153. Volume coming in at 151 is holding up price a little bit. Yeah, I mean, potentially the target on a long is going to be 162. Volume came in here, kind of held up price. If it does it again, let's see. Buyer at 153.50. So we had the seller at 7150. Buyer at 153.50. Volume that came in here is holding up price for the moment. Maybe we just limit buy 153. So we get filled on a rotation. Stop outside the lows at 146 quarter position. This volume here and here lifted price. We have the large sell at 150, which is now underwater I want us to break 153.50 where this large buy is. Only got filled on a piece of my position at 153. It rotated into 153 and just filled. So we have an eighth of a position on. It's like, good God, what's even the point of that? It's annoying. All right, so we're just long a piece at 153, like literally an eighth of a position. It is 9:43. We got to keep our eye on the clock and try to avoid trading through 10 o'clock if we can avoid the volume coming in and still kind of holding and lifting price. That's good for a long. But I would like an opportunity to add the other eighth of my quarter position that did not get filled at 153. It rotated into 153 and only filled a partial. So the volume, heavy volume that came in suppressed price here at 155. Bunch of buyers just came in at 155 and a quarter, 155 and a half. Potentially you're going to get absorbed now, right? Look at all the volume coming in. We'll exit. For nothing. Could have been a mistake, but I'm afraid of these buys that all just came in right on top of each other at 155. Probably mistakenly. It's interesting. It says it filled everything at 153 at the same time, but it didn't. It's interesting. So here's going to be the line in the sand for right now. It's this 155 area. Right in here. Like these buyers get absorbed right now. So this is why I'm not comfortable with the long here. There's all these buyers coming in and like it didn't push things up and all this volume's coming in is just crushing price right now. That's a lot of volume up here. We're getting more volume coming in here at 154 trying to hold it up. I don't want to just keep on chopping back and forth here based off like, I don't want to narrowly focus on just one element here, like candle volume and large orders and playing around this 155, right? Because it will be very tempting as price moves above 155 to be long and be very tempting to be short as price moves below 155. But you're getting pretty large deltas here and we're not really moving price all that far. 300, 362. And we're kind of still in the same overlapping range. And I want to see if more buyers come in here in this area. Yeah, so volume is lifting price still. And the one big buyers at 155. We'll see if this offers an area of resistance on a rotation lower. Yeah, we kind of read that wrong. I got spooked by the large orders at 155, thinking that was just going to be absorption in the top of the market, rather than holding my longs from 153. So the last volume to come in and suppress price was at 162. So let's see what happens as we come up on 162. Would like an opportunity to re-engage on the long side if we get a rotation lower, but now we're coming up on 10 o'clock, so yeah, I wish I would have held it a little bit. I'm gonna be selling a little bit here, probably at 162 if volume suppresses price right here, but if it holds it up, then you would stay long. Yeah, volume for the most part seems to just be holding up price up here, which is good. That's bullish. Large transaction at 163 and a quarter. So it's pretty much all buy side large activity. The one sell outside the market on open was at 150 down here. And that's where we started speculating about being long. And then we saw the volume come in and lift price at an area where it was previously suppressing price. So let's see what happens up here towards the top of the distribution. 10 minutes until pending home sales as well as the Fed chairman. So I don't think we're going to jump into the position until after that time. All right, volume up at 163 came in, pushed things down a little bit. Good amount of volume up here, but probably get an equal amount now down here at 161, trying to lift it. I suspect the liquidity is going to thin out here in a minute. Oh, maybe like 5 minutes. Yeah, I mean, you're just hanging up here towards the highs. You're probably going to break the highs for sure. You're not immediately rejecting this. Sellers are willing to meet you here, but they're not selling things lower. They're not actively pushing things lower. You're just hanging out around the top. If they were, this would be a quick rejection if it was a true rejection. So I would like to see a rotation lower, a test of this low volume area here, and maybe around 159 volume comes in and lifts pricing and rejects this low volume area, and then you can get long. It's just now we have a timing problem of it being 951, and we really don't want to. Kevin, I don't even know who this guy is, to be quite honest. Be interested to see what he has to say. Kevin Warsh. So volume coming in at 162 is trying to hold price. How's ES looking? ES is still kind of full. Averaging 60 on each side. No, don't close it. I mean, if it wasn't 952, I'd probably be adding long here at the bottom of this range. Seller at 161 and a quarter. Yeah, I sold at the bottom. He got himself trapped. Yeah, I don't want to run this through the news. I really don't. Even though I like this. I like this long here. It's just timing is terrible. So able to break that little distribution node at 162.5. Trying to push outside of it. Volume came in, didn't really push price back down. Seems to be lifting price more than anything else. But not like a very quick, huge breakaway. We're not adding a ton of volume up here either. No large buyers on the break. Oh my goodness. How great is that long at 153 looking? If you were long at 153, which we were, but then got spooked. Gosh darn it. Oh well. Good read. 6 minutes until the news, 6 minutes until testimony begins. I don't know if they're going to start right at 10 o'clock, but we do have to keep an eye on it to make sure there's not a ton of volatility that comes into the market and starts fucking trades. A little over a 20-point range for this morning. Not bad. I would like to see an attempt to come back into this range and a rejection. Good amount of volume coming in here. Yep, trend is definitely up for the morning so far. Don't seem to be adding a ton of volume though up here. Another buyer at 166.5. The last seller was at 161.25. Liquidity for ES still looks pretty good. The algorithms today, they usually wait until like the last 30 seconds to start thinning out the liquidity and pulling all the limit orders. But just going to be patient.